Okay, good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me know if you guys can hear my audio and see my screen in the chat box. Just give me a little Y or a yes there. Hope everybody's having a fantastic morning. Hopefully your trading's going well. And I'm looking forward to getting into our bankers close today. We had an awesome one yesterday and the day before. Let's get into this. As always, I just need to remind you guys about the risks involved in the market. You can lose all or more than your initial investment if you're not careful. So please be aware of how many pips you're risking on each trade, in addition to how big your lot size is and ultimately how that would affect your account if you were to lose money. So make sure that you're going through that process each and every time that you take a trade. There shouldn't be any news this morning. We're going to double check real quick, but I'm just going to go ahead and pull that up here. Yeah, like I said, nothing, like I said yesterday, nothing in terms of news events for the next, well, for like another week, basically. So we've got a while to go here. And so all I'm doing right now is just looking for bankers close setups that would match what we're looking for. Okay, euro pound's getting close. If it hits this upper range, we might have an opportunity, or the upper range of the Bollinger Band, we might have an opportunity to go. Let's look at the, how about the, um, pound franc. Let's see if that guy's setting up. Not really. Well, this guy had a nice like wick up to the upside. In fact, you know what? I think I would like, I'm going to just grab a couple of sells here. This isn't technically like your traditional banker's close, but I just love that huge wick on the top right there. And the fact that it's normally in a downtrend, it hit up some supply and just came, crashing down right after that. So I'm just going to take a couple of trades there, but I'm still looking for the traditional, banker's close setup. Whether that be on the euro franc, euro pound, or pound franc. And this might take a little bit to find the real setup. So what we want to find for the real setup, for those of you that are new or trying to hone in on your skills for the banker's close, you're looking for a 5-minute chart, pound franc, or euro pound. In this last hour of trading before the London banks close. And you're looking specifically for a break in the upper Bollinger Band or lower Bollinger Band, okay? And then that would technically get you into a trade opportunity. So if this guy came back up and hit this upper Bollinger Band, that would be a technical trade opportunity. And there's several different areas where there's supply and demand that we could close at or enter trades at, which is nice. But I'm also looking at like the euro franc as an opportunity. If that one lines up, that could be pretty good. Looking at the euro pound to see if we can get a setup with the euro pound. This one would be nice actually if it came up and hit up here. And actually, I wanted to see with this one in particular if it's got some more order blocks on a higher time frame. It's pretty much at a monthly high right now, the euro pound. Yeah, if I pull up a higher time frame, yet last time it was up here was a while ago. So that could be actually a pretty good little short trade. This guy's looking weak. Had a nice little candlestick right here, and then this is a lower high than the previous high. These lows are starting to get lower than the previous low. So this makes me think this guy's heading down. Yeah, I'm actually going to grab just a couple of trades here. These aren't technically bankers close setups, but I just feel like this is going to be a good little opportunity. And so I want to just grab a couple of orders on that. And again, I'm waiting for the traditional, this is not the banker's close setup, just to be clear. This is just kind of like, these are just kind of like little extra setups that we're trying to grab seeing if we can get something out of this market here. Okay, and I'm just going to keep my eye out for other opportunities. Okay. Oh, let me grab the Euro franc. Here we go. Yeah, this Euro pound looks a lot more bearish than some of these others I looked at. Just again, you've got lower highs recently, which is important, and lower lows. And then you've got the market's attempted to break this high up here, but each time it's failed, it's basically come up to some supply and it's just pulled back each time. So that's why I'm saying it looks bearish. It doesn't look like it's got the mojo to break higher there. So that's why I like this as a short-term little trade. Now, could you turn this into a buy? Sure. Like there's buy opportunities if this thing pulled back into here. There's nice little demand in there, and it looks like it basically stopped a couple of times already in there. Yeah, there's a couple of areas. And then let's see, I wanted to find, I actually was curious if you go to the trading view charts instead. I wanted to see, okay, actually real quick, it looks like the pound franc is actually, I know it's the trades we took were not priced very well, right? But those ones appear to be hitting an upper Bollinger Band now. So we could do that. Now, when you're trading the pound franc, it does have a higher ATR. So I use a 60 pip max stop loss when I'm trading the pound franc. So I didn't do that one correctly necessarily, but and then I take fewer trades. My starter position on the pound franc is smaller just because the ATR is so much bigger here. So this would be a traditional banker's close setup. You're hitting that upper Bollinger Band in that last hour of trading. You can go ahead and get into a starter position. And again, I just have to emphasize that this is a startup trade because this one definitely has the potential to come like quite a ways up. And so I need to put my stop losses in an appropriate area. Like I said, like 60 pips. That's my max stop loss for the day is 60 pips from the current market. Do I want it? I mean, do I expect it to go that far? No, but that is from my back testing that I've done that I've talked to you guys about. It's the furthest I've seen the market go. So anyway, this looks good to me in terms of getting a nice setup. So actually, let's actually go take a look. If you pull up the pound franc, where are those order blocks on here? Just so that we can get a good picture of what we're working with. Okay, I already have it pulled up. Nice. So we are technically on an hourly. We're going to probably see some buying pressure because we are coming into a buy block, right? Now, at the same time, like there's a little something there. I know it's not labeled, but there is a little something there that I think we might see some help with. Let's see, 30 minutes. I don't see that. How about, just curious, 5 minute, 5 minutes showing up here too. So we may want to be a little bit careful with, actually, no, there it is on the 2 hour. We're actually saying that there's a little something where I think it may stop and turn around. So yeah, that's definitely possible. So kind of my expectation with the pound franc is it'll probably continue higher. Like we'll probably see this keep going up. And then at what point does this thing turn around? I kind of expect this market to kind of retest this zone, this area, and then find some trouble, maybe turn around in that area. That's kind of my expectation. So you do want to be careful with how big you take this trade because it could go against you pretty dang fast. Because you don't have as much help as some of our previous trades that we've taken. Whereas like the euro pound trade, that one has a lot of help. A lot of places you can fix that trade if things go bad. And actually, I think I'm going to pull my profits on those euro pounds, just those few trades that I took, just because I want to focus on one pair now. Oops, I didn't mean to take that one. I'm going to retake another trade. Oops, I accidentally closed out of one of my pound franc trades. So, okay, so there we go. So this is kind of what I'm expecting. And this is what I'm working on. This one is a riskier trade. Like I talked about that, like it does appear that it's building a lot of momentum at this base down here. So yeah, don't get too big on this trade. Like I've got a very small starter position because I definitely see the potential for this thing to come up to here. So be ready for that. All right, and then we'll make that work. We'll let it sit, do its thing. I'm still watching the euro franc and the euro pound. They're both not really setting up. This is really the only true setup right now. Let me show you the trade from yesterday. We had to be patient, but patience is the name of the game when you're trading the banker's close, right? So yesterday we had a heck of a day with the euro franc. Let me go ahead and show you. Let me plot my orders so you guys can see what we traded yesterday. And that's really, like I said, that's really the name of the game with the holidays. When you're trading anything on the holidays, it's just patience, right? So here's our trades. There they are right there. So yesterday, this is what we bought into, and this is how we got out. Right, so we started a buy a little early, same thing like today. We sold a little early on the pound franc, and we started the position here. That position got a little bit better in terms of pricing, so we added to the position within our bounds that we're willing to make, and then the market pulled back up, hit a mid and upper Bollinger Band, came back up to the supply zone that we were anticipating. This was kind of a supply area right here. And the market came right to that. And then we closed out of pretty much everything. It did go up just a little bit more, but not much, which is fine. And then we got, it just went into holiday doldrums here. And then now the market's here right now. So we'll see what that one does. If you look at it, these Bollinger Bands are super wide from each other. So it's going to be hard to find a setup with the Euro franc because these Bollinger Bands are so far apart from each other, right? Which means, because in order to get a setup from a traditional standpoint, you need to hit the upper or lower Bollinger Band. And that would be very difficult to do on the Euro franc today. And that's kind of why we're not looking for setups, or I'm looking for it, but it's just probably not going to happen, right? And then there's the Euro pound. And this guy, really no significant setup today, at least not yet. There could be an opportunity if this comes lower down into here. If this comes lower, our trade's going to, on the pound franc's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better, which is fine. I'm just letting you know. And I do anticipate this guy probably coming down a little bit more, maybe testing this zone. Once it's done testing this zone, this should come up, and then the pound franc will follow suit. Well, the pound franc will do the opposite. It's just an inverse. So that one will come down instead of go up. Whereas right now we're seeing some bullish activity. So if we go to the pound franc, again, when you're trading the pound franc for the banker's close, the ATR is wider. So when the ATR is wider, you have to have a You have to have a plan before you take the position, or before you start taking positions, as to how many trades will you take, what's the max amount of trades you will take, what's the max stop loss that you will have. If you don't set those things up, here's what happens. So like a lot of people don't like to trade like this long term. If they, and I'll tell you why. What happens to traders is, we do add to kind of losing trades when we believe that that trade is still going to work out, right? The banker's close is notorious for that type of setup, where you get in and the initial signal wasn't necessarily the best price to get in at, but if you wait 15, 30 minutes, you're going to catch the top of the market or the bottom of the market, right? Type of thing. And so naturally we add to the position. Now, if you just, and I used to trade this way. So like, let's say this market keeps going up, right? And if you just, it's okay to keep adding some trades, add some sells, but if this thing just keeps going, right? Which markets can do that, right? And you just keep adding, right? And that drawdown gets so terrible. What happens is you could lose enough money on this one trade, on this one position, that it's really hard to come back from, or almost impossible to come back from in a reasonable amount of time. Like if we're going to take a loss, we need to make sure that we can come back from that loss, I would say within a couple of days, maybe even max a week. You don't want to set yourself back more than a week with your trading. If you set yourself back more than a week, what's going to happen is when you come back to the charts the next day, you're going to feel vengeful. You're going to feel like you need to get your money back quickly. And then you're just going to set that spiral again, right? And so you always have to trade within your plan. And so one of the things that I do to protect myself from this type of trading, so it's a beautiful thing. Like there is a time and a place to add to these positions when they're not as favorable, or excuse me, when a trade goes against you, there's definitely a time and a place to add to a losing trade, but you have to know when those are. We talk about those. But then most importantly, you have to set your own limits before you take the position. So when I'm trading the pound franc, I have the same rule. Like, I can't trade more. Well, with the euro franc and euro pound, the max stop loss is 40 pips. And that was from, like I said, I did a lot of back testing a couple months ago on the banker's close to find out how far does the market go against you before you get a move in your favor, right? And what I found was typically you'll get a move that will go, at least on the euro pound and euro franc, it won't go against you more than 40 pips. If it goes against you more than 40 pips, something's wrong, right? Like the banker's close is not working for that day. The there's a news event, some kind of fundamental thing pushing the market, and so you don't want to stay in the trade at that point. And so that is like my hard stop on everything. Like you just cut it. And then in addition to that, that's not the only thing that protects me. I have the max 40 pip stop loss, and then I won't take more than 20 trades total. That's my max position size is 20 trades. And I know that if I hit all of my stop losses on those, yes, it would not be fun, but it's something I can come back from relatively quickly. And so that's what gives me freedom. Okay, that's what gives me autonomy to trade and add to positions when I want to, and kind of have fun with my trading. Is having those rules set beforehand. If I don't have those rules set, and I just kind of willy-nilly throw trades out there, and whatever happens to the market happens, right? And you're just gonna lose money long term if you do that approach. And then what ultimately happens is there's going to be that one day every once in a while where you don't get away with what you were doing, and the loss is going to be so terrible that like it's going to take you months to come back from that type of a trade. That's the definition of blowing up an account. Okay. I've done it multiple times. A lot of times when you do something like that, you either want to quit trading or you resent the market, or just a lot of different emotions, right? And I prefer that that wouldn't happen. And so in order to avoid that, you have to have those preset rules in place to protect yourself. Okay. So with this pair, like I said, this one has a higher ATR than the Euro pound does. And so since this one has an higher ATR, the max stop loss on this one is a little bit wider. You know, it's 60 pips instead of 40. Now, when I leave the trades at the end of the day, so if we don't get profits by the end of the hour and we have to leave the trade to set up and let it go through the afternoon, if that happens, then I'll tighten the stop losses. But while I'm actively trading and actively adding, my max stop is at 60. And then yeah, wherever the cards fall, they fall type of thing. But yeah, the markets have been slow. And I mentioned this multiple times this week and last week that when you're in this type of market condition, you know, it's very hard to trade, right? It's very hard to take positions. And one of the things that you'll find with the banker's close, I mentioned this yesterday quite a few times, is when this trade is going against you, or if it's going slowly, or let's say it's even going in your favor or going sideways, it doesn't matter. It's going to do whatever it's going to do so slowly that the tendency is to over leverage and put on a larger position. Okay. That's not the solution to this type of trade. Now, if you want to drop all 20 of your max trades all at once, go ahead. You know, I mean, that's up to you, but then you don't have ammunition later if the prices get better and improve. You don't have ammunition. So just remember that concept when you're trading this. So okay, so we'll let this guy sit, do its thing. As far as targets go, where would I be looking for a take profit? Most of my take profits I'd be looking for in this general demand area, which is right here. That would be where I'm going to be looking. And I might go a little bit above that too for some of these, but I'm just going to kind of scatter these take profits in that general area, and then we'll be happy. Yeah, something in here would be ideal. So I didn't take a very big position down here. I think I have like 3 or 4 trades down here. And this one down here wasn't technically a banker's close setup. It was just something I was trying to do earlier if you showed up late. But my real starter position's up here, and I will add to that position again if it comes up. Strategically though, the best area to be adding ideally is if the market came back up and tested this general area right here. That would be an ideal area to sell at. So yeah, if the market comes back up, which is very likely today, if we get a move back up into here, then yes, I will be adding up in that area a little more aggressively than I did here and here. I don't really have a huge position built up yet. And that was done on purpose because when you do the higher time frame analysis, it does look like the market wants to come up to here today before the end of the day. And I'm trying to prep for that. Let me give you in a scenario. Let me tell you what I would do if that happens. So if the market comes up to here, let's say it does this. Yeah, if it comes up into this box, I'll start adding some more sells, probably a little more aggressively than I did here and here. And then at that point, in order to be profitable, I don't think I'd look to go all the way down here for my targets. what I would probably do at that point is identify where's the mid Bollinger Band and identify the most critical demand area somewhere in the middle. Maybe that might be here. At that point, it just depends on, where things line up. But if the market comes up to there, my new target would most likely be, I don't know, we'll say somewhere in this area. And what that means is that these trades would lose money. These ones down here, these 3 or 4 trades that are here would lose like 8, 7, 9 pips a piece. These ones would make maybe 4 or 5 pips a piece, but then you'd have ones up here. That's where the money's made, right? Like you're going to make 25 pips a piece on those ones, right? And if you make 25, 26 pips on those, plus 4 on these guys, and you have like 3 or 4 trades that lose 8 pips a piece, oh, you're smoking. You're looking really good at that point. You're looking really, really good at that point. So that's kind of what that's kind of how I would anticipate this and play this today. Now, if the market were to go beyond that, where's the stopping point? That one's a little bit more unclear exactly how far this market could go if it wanted to go up. If it broke above these levels right up here today, the next stopping point really isn't until like around here. That's where you'd expect another little confluence. And that's quite a ways. Like that's pretty far. I do not expect the market to do that without some kind of news event at the end of the trading day like this. That would be a lot of demand. That would be a lot of demand. I don't know if the market has that in itself to do that without some kind of news or during the middle of the holidays again. So yeah, I don't expect the market to be able to do that. So I think the playground that we're working within today, the playing area is between basically where the targets are and here. That this is kind of the play zone today for the rest of the day. And we'll see if we can get down to here. I would love to take some profits down in this area. That'd be beautiful. See if it could do that. But I do think it wants to gear up for another move to the upside here. That's kind of my expectation. All right, so that's going to be slow, and that's fine. We'll just let it sit and do its thing. I was just curious to see how some of these other trades are panning out. Let's go to a 5-minute. And let's go take a look at how the other 2 bankers close pairs are doing. Yeah, here's that Euro franc. Again, this one's hard to trade because if you look at the Bollinger Bands, look how wide they are, right? You're not going to get a traditional setup because you have to hit the upper or lower Bollinger Band. But that's not going to happen when the market's so wide. And why did this happen? Why did they widen out? Whenever you get a market move like this, big move up that's pretty rapid, the bands just naturally expand. They're programmed to expand out. And so that's why this took place here. And then you look at the Euro Pound, same thing, no true setup yet. It would either need to come down a little bit more down to here, and then you'd have a setup, or it would need to come up to here, and then you'd have a sell setup. So again, really the only opportunity from a traditional sense has been this pound franc. That's really been the only option. And this one, unfortunately, is going to be slow. It's going to be slow because I do think it wants to come up here and fill in this gap between the top of this market up here and where it is now. I do think it wants to fill that. And so unfortunately, I do think it's going to go a little higher before it comes lower, but that's fine. We'll work with whatever the market's giving us, but that's what it's going to give us today. And again, we talked about how this is basically every day this week has been about the same. Even and last week too was very similar. Like the trade from yesterday was basically, let's see, where was the trade from yesterday? This was the trade from yesterday. We started our buy position about right here on the Euro franc. And for how long did it take? Like, how far did this thing go against us before we got a real move in our favor, something substantial? Let's see, we started buying about at the open of the hour. That's when we started buying. And then we kept buying throughout the hour. And then it didn't really make its move to the upside and actually turn profitable until about, well, I think we got out like right here. So that was 2 hours, like almost exactly 2 hours from the time that we took the trade. So it took 2 hours for this whole thing to play out. 2 hours, right? And so I expect the euro, the pound franc to do the same thing. If you go over here and take a look at it, I'm expecting the same thing. So if this is where we got in, if this is where we basically started, the sell order, the sell position, 2 hours would put you right here ish. And so, this thing could definitely continue higher, come up here, retest, fill in that zone that I was talking about. And then once it's filled in this zone, then you get your pullback that's substantial enough to make your day and make your trade happy, that kind of stuff. So now the other question people might ask is, Steve, if it's going to fill in the gap, wouldn't a buy be necessary right now? Buy first and then sell later? You can do something like that, but that's not the strategy, right? And that's not how this works, because also there is a chance, I'm not saying this is going to happen, and I don't think it's going to play out this way, but it could happen where, let's say, because there is some supply basically throughout this whole thing. It's not super cut and dry and clear cut. So it is possible that it just pulls back right away and we make our money, right? And you don't want to be in a buy if that's going to be the case. You don't want to be a buyer, right? If that's going to happen. And again, I'm really strict about following rules, because rules are what keep you in business. If you don't have rules that you keep and that you follow consistently, you just won't stay in business, unfortunately. So in my 10 or 11 years that I've been trading, if I break rules, like I'll stop trading for a while, and I'll have to come back until I'm willing to start following rules again. And the other thing about following rules is, because if you start making money, if you actually start making a profit because you're following what you said you would do, it's really empowering. And what it does is it leads you to the next success and the next success. And then what happens is you're able to feel comfortable maybe gathering up more capital. We've talked about helping you guys get FTMO challenges passed. I'm starting a new challenge at the first of next year. So next week, I'm doing a challenge with Funded Trading Plus. You've probably heard of them. I'm going to give them a try. I'm going to do an audition for $200,000 with them. And that's my next challenge, right? Like I passed my FTMO challenge, earlier, or I guess a month or two ago. And that was really exciting for me, because FTMO can be a little bit harder to pass. But I wouldn't have felt comfortable going through FTMO or any of these other prop trading funding companies unless I knew that what I had was going to work, right? And how do you know what you have is going to work? By experience, by doing it over and over and over again, right? And you have to ignore all the fluff, because everyone out there has their own strategy and everyone has their own thing. And that's fine. Like, you just got to find your lane, find the thing that works for you. You know, if the banker's close works for you, wonderful. I hope it does, because that's the value I'm trying to provide to you. I'm trying to help you find a way to create income, gosh dang, nearly every day, right? I'm trying to help you create income on the daily, right? And then let's see what else is going to say about that. Yeah, it's for income. Hopefully, my other goals for you guys, and I'm sure you guys have plans like this too, but like I would love to help you guys get into funded accounts, um, you know, with whoever you choose to go with. I'll let you guys know how Funded Trading Plus goes. I'm sure you'll see me trading in it a few times, but that's my next challenge is with those guys. And I'm just trying to round up another $200,000 of capital, right? Like I feel like it's important to always be trying to get more capital as you're improving your skills and getting better at your trading. You know, get more capital because it's out there. Um, I think a lot of people have these thoughts like, hey, I'm not going to trade, or I can't afford to trade because I don't have enough money to trade. I can't make anything substantial with $500 or whatever you have to trade. And the cool thing is, like, guys, is $500. If you know what you're doing, $500 is the audition fee for most places for $100,000 account. So, I mean, yeah, if you fail the rules and you don't pass the challenge, then you're out the full $500. But if you know what you're doing and you've maybe done a few free trial accounts and you've passed those or something like that, that's what I would recommend if you're going to trade such a bigger account with those emotions swirling as well. If you've passed that and you know what you're doing, like you really should be trading other people's money. Like I feel like there's no other way to successfully trade Forex long term unless you can get access to funds from a prop firm. I'm a huge believer in that. Like if you look at or talk to anybody that's successful in the industry, they'll be like, yeah, I mean, anyone who's younger. I mean, if you look at, I mean, I have friends who are successful that are much older than me, and they had to go through the school of hard knocks and open up, borrow money and trade that or something like that, or save up the money and trade that. Um, Definitely tougher way to go. Um, but it's possible, right? But I'd say a lot of people in my age group and people just nowadays, they're just going through prop firm companies. Like that's what you do. You just, you don't have a lot of money to trade and you don't want to borrow it. I really don't recommend that you borrow money to trade. I don't recommend that, for the record. Um, but if you can get somebody else to fund you and you can take those profits, that's huge. And then what I would say is, I hope this is your goal. Sorry, coming back to my original thought, is once you guys create an income, like where you're making 500, 1,000, $2,000 a day, um, take that money and start buying assets, things that would continue to create income for you through your retirement. Because although it's fun to trade, it's still a job. Like you still have to get up and be there present and mentally look at the trade and mentally go through the motions of the trade and find the setups. For me, it's still I enjoy that very much. But it's still a challenge, right? And it can be, um, it takes energy. Let's just put it takes mental energy to trade. And so you're still exchanging that for the money that you're making from trading, although it's more money than probably you would make at a job, once you get funded, at least, right? And then my goal for you is to have you guys take that money, and then, be smart with it. If you've got a lot of debts, pay down those debts quickly as you can, especially if they're bad debts, credit cards, personal loans, things like that. Get those things out of your life, right? And then definitely work on stockpiling some money for a rainy day so that you have that. and have that peace of mind when you sleep. Imagine going to bed at night knowing like, hey, I don't have really any debts and I've got this stockpile of money, like I've saved up all this money. And then the third step would be to find ways to invest that money so it grows while you're sleeping, not just the trading. Because trading, even though it can happen while you're sleeping, you still have to manually take the trade. So it's still not a true form of like making money in your sleep. You still have to manage it, right? Anyway, so that's what I would do. That's what I would be doing. And hopefully you guys have some plans going into the new year, you know, with your, your trading plan, which by the way, some of you have taken me up on that. You've come up with your trading plans for the new year and you've shared those PDFs with me. If you haven't done that yet, come up with your trading plan, come up with your yearly plan. And like, I'm one of those people that will be one of your biggest cheerleaders. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to be like, well, that's dumb. That's too lofty. I am not that guy. I know what it's like to be on the other end of that. So like, I'm your cheerleader. I'm motivating you guys. I'm here to help you guys hit your goals, no matter what they are. And for some of you, you've got really big goals, like you're hoping to get multiple funded accounts. You're hoping to take this to the next level and make a 6-figure, potentially even 7-figure deal. I'm here for that. I'm here to help you to do that. And for some of you, it's just like, you know what? I still love what I do with my day job. I want to keep that, but I'd like to still make some money on the side trading and get a side income from this. I'm here for that too. Like I'm here to help you achieve all those goals, right? And for some of you, you might be like, well, the banker's close is great, but I can't really afford to be here during the daytime all the time. And if that's the case, that's fine. The reason why we haven't been doing the overnight trades is because you're not getting follow through right now. Look at the market. I mean, just look at this market. Look how slow everything is. So slow right now. So, you have to be patient. You have to be super patient. And the overnight trades are just not getting follow through. So I'm holding off from those. And starting, next week, hopefully we can get into some of those overnight trades again. I'll be sending those out on Telegram. If you want to use those to get funded, by all means, do it. Like I want to give you guys multiple ways to find the success that you need, whether that be coming and trading live or something overnight, or both. We want to give you some opportunities like that. What I love about the Banker's Close is if you do have the time to be here, which that's most of you that are here right now. If you do have the chance to be here, it's a beautiful trade. Like I haven't lost on the Banker's Close setup since the second Thursday in October. Every day I've come away with a profit. Some days not as much and other days a lot. Like yesterday was amazing. We've had some really good, surprisingly, we've actually had some really stellar Banker's Close trades the last several days and a couple of weeks even. So, I want to help you do that. And that's what I was going to say is I love the Banker's Close because it does provide basically an income. Like it's a very consistent income. We take overnight trades. We've had some in the last couple of months where we've woken up and we're like, holy smack, like we're up $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on an overnight trade. I've had the opposite too. Like, don't get me wrong. We've had trades where you wake up and you're down several thousands of dollars. But this Banker's Close is just consistent. You make your $500 to $2,000 a day, trading a $200,000 account. And it's every day. It's like every day you're doing that. And it's just so consistent. Like, I love that. My goal next year, one of my goals is to get way more people, helping way more people do this, which by the way, that's another thing you can do too. You can help me achieve my goals and I can help you in the same thing. So I'm willing to do like an affiliate thing with you guys. If you guys bring on people, like you tell your friends and you're like, hey guys, this banker's close trade is a real legit thing. Like he's making money every day with this, and he's helping me do the same thing. If you bring people on, like I'm willing to negotiate with you like a commission for that. Like, you bring somebody on, like that's something I would totally, I don't want you to go feeling like Steve was ungrateful for that. Like I'll make sure you get paid for that type of thing. I haven't worked out the details. I need to make an actual like affiliate program, but in the meantime, like I'm sure I could do something, I don't know what that would look like, but whether that's like a royalty for as long as they stick around, or like a one-time, like if somebody signs up and becomes part of the community, like I'll pay you a one-time thing. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But that's something I'd like to do next year, is get the program much bigger, get more people helped, because there's a lot of people that could use this really. Like the banker's close trade could really be a huge benefit to a lot of people, especially if they have that time to sit at the computer for an hour to trade. It could be huge. Okay, so this is starting to improve. It's just slow, which is fine. It looks like the range today is definitely going to be smaller than I thought. I told you guys I was thinking this is going to be the range right here. It shouldn't break out of this box for the rest of the day. There's no news, there's no reason. The London market closes in about 13 minutes. So there really is nothing that's going to cause this to break out of this range. So if this market, I don't think it will, but if it were to come up, to here again today, I'm definitely going to be selling pretty hard right there, because I do not believe it'll break above that at this point. I'm still going to stick to my take profits down here. That's where I'm going to close out. I'll let you know if that changes. What I might do is, if this comes down quite a bit, I might settle with the market and close these 2 or 3 trades out right here at break even, or like a small 2 or 3 pip loss, at which point all of these trades that are priced up here, those ones will be up 15 or so pips by the time these get back to break even, right? So that's kind of how this works with this type of trade setup. But yeah, we'll let that continue to do its thing. In fact, I'm going to just add, just so you guys know, like I'm going to go ahead and have this ready to go. I'm going to put some sell limits up in this supply up here, so that if I walk away from the computer, I can get tripped into some really good orders right up in here. I would definitely like to be a seller up in here, and that puts me about to my max trades, right? Like I don't take more than 20 trades. That would put me about there. And then where does the stop loss go? So when you're leaving the trades for the day to let them do their thing, you go to MATAF, right? And this is in the strategy rule book. Sorry guys, got something in my throat here. You go to MATAF, and then you search the pair that you're trading. So you go to pound franc for today. This one obviously has a higher ATR, which we're expecting. You guys can see I'm getting ads for FTMO, right? Yeah, I definitely look into a lot of prop firms. In fact, I'll show you the rules for Funded Trading Plus if you guys want to see it. But that's my new, that's going to be my new challenge. Start of the year is going to be with Funded Trading Plus. Okay, so you got 116.3 pips is the average daily volatility, or ATR, for the pound franc on Thursdays. And this is calculated over the last 10 weeks. So it's the average. So what we do is we come here, we pull up the calculator, right? And let me grab it. There we go. And we say 116.3, and we divide that by 4. And that's your stop loss to leave the trade at, okay? When you're leaving a trade alone, like if you have to walk away to do some errands, run some chores, or whatever you got to do for the day, you don't want to leave a massive stop loss on these trades, because if you come back and it hits, like it hits you in the worst part of your gut, right? Like it is just one of those like very depressing things, and you don't want to have a depressing trade like that. Now, anytime we lose, it's always depressing, right? But we just got to make sure that the loser that we take is acceptable. So I would say, for me, what I've done is I've back tested, and at the end of the trading hour, I like to use a max stop loss of 29 pips, because if the market goes beyond a fourth of the average daily range, something's going on. We've obviously dropped the ball, we've missed something, and I'd rather take the loss and come back the next day. So I come back over here, and I basically just draw a line from the current price wherever the market's trending right now, and I go up 29 pips, and that's basically at the top of the range, which is fine. So we're willing to add to this position up to here basically, but above this range, no can do. We're not hanging on longer than that. And then you just pull these down, like, right? We don't want to have these all the way out here. Basically this area is where, the max stop loss that we're willing to hold at this point. And this will allow us to come back from a trade. If we hit all of these, it's not fun. Definitely not fun, but it's something you have to do. I've talked to so many traders. Your stop loss is what keeps you in business. Okay, just remember that quote. Your stop loss keeps you in business. Okay. I know traders who, I remember at one time, I will never forget this. I was at a traders summit in 2016, and we had a break in between presentations, and I walked past this one guy, and he was talking to another person that was sitting next to him, and he was kind of explaining his personal trading methodology, and he said this, and I won't forget this. And he's now, he doesn't trade anymore because I've kept up with him a little bit. This guy said, when I trade, he says, I use a 100 pip stop loss and a 2 pip take profit on every single trade that I take. And and then the following thing was just so interesting. He said, if you have just a 2 pip take profit and a 100 pip stop loss, he said, you'll never lose because the stop loss is so far away, right? And I thought his mentality was really interesting, because there was a truth and then a huge lie inside of what he said, right? The truth is, if you have a 2 pip take profit and a 100 pip stop loss, yes, it's true that you will win most of your trades. It is true. You will win most of your trades if you choose that type of trade management technique. Now, the thing is, there will be times when you hit that 100 pip stop loss. If you give the market an inch, it will take that inch every once in a while. Like, it will give, if you give it a foot, it will take that foot every once in a while. If you give it the market 6 feet, it will take the 6 feet every once in a while. Like, you do have to just respect the market that it will do that every once in a while, right? And so if you put, like, for me, if I put my stop loss right here, I need to realize that sometimes I'm going to hit all of those. And you have to ask yourself the question, is that okay? If it is, then great. We've got a good trading plan. If it's not, we cannot do that, right? So he was just saying, I have a 100 pip stop loss and I'll never hit it. Well, the thing is, if you'll never hit it, then why do you even have a stop loss, right? The idea of the stop loss is so that you stop out. It is to protect you. It is to protect your capital, right? So you have to have one. There's no way around it. Okay. Anyway, so the truth is, yes, you're going to hit most of your winners, right? I think he probably had a 90% win rate, like he was winning most of his trades. However, that 10% of the time or 5% of the time that he hit his stop loss, like, it's just you're in trouble. In fact, look at the math on this, guys. Let's say he has a 95% win rate, which is very generous. Like, look at this. If you win 95 trades times 2 pips, you're going to make 190 pips. Okay. You're going to make 190 pips and you're going to win 95% of the time. Okay. Not bad. Now, the 5 times that you lose, because 100% is 100%. And if you're winning 95, that means you lose 5% of the time. So if the 5% of the time you lose minus 100, so if you do 5, so let's do minus 100 times 5, that's minus 500 pips. Okay. Now you do have some profits, right? But you have 190 pips of profit. So you'll add 190 back and you have a losing strategy. So you have something that wins 95% of the time and you're still losing a lot of money, right? Okay. The opposite's true, guys, when we do something like this. Let's say, I don't know, let's do like you could win, like if you're doing a 2-to-1 reward to risk ratio, like let's say on average you make 100 pips, okay, and you only win, we'll say 40% of the time. So times 40, you make 4,000 pips. And then when you lose half of that, okay, and you lose 60% of the time. So 50 times 60, that's 3,000. So you've lost 3,000 pips, but you've made 4,000. But this thing is a losing strategy because it only wins 40% of the time. So the strategy that's winning 40% of the time is actually profitable and making you money, whereas the other guy's strategy where he's losing, or where he's winning 95% of the time, he's actually losing money, right? And so that's the point I want to illustrate here is when you place a stop loss, you have to be willing to hit it. You have to say, is this okay? Will this stop loss keep me in business? If it won't, we need to reevaluate, right? We need to talk about that concept, right? When we do more overnight trades, we're going to get more 3-to-1, 4-to-1 reward to risk ratios. We don't do that as well with the banker's close just by the nature of how the banker's close strategy works. We're just not going to get those types of opportunities, unfortunately. It's very hard to have a 3-to-1, 4-to-1 and consistently make money every single day and pull income out of the market every single day with the banker's close. Because here's what would happen. If you and I adopted a 3-to-1, a 4-to-1 reward to risk ratio, maybe we'd win like once a week, once every 2 weeks type of thing. It'd be very hard to win long-term with that type of win ratio or reward to risk ratio. So anyway, that's why I'm saying when we do overnight trades though, we do lots of trades like that where we go 3-to-1, 4-to-1, that type of thing. And we'll do more of those types of trades. Anyway, I'm stalling here because I wanted to see if this was going to break down. It's getting close. We're almost back to break even on this. But anyway, guys, I'm going to pull these profits in up here, these ones, and let's just get this tidied up and buttoned up, ready to go to walk away from. And then I would recommend that you guys go run an errand, go do something. And after everything's set up and put in here, go do something. It's always the best when you come back and it's worked out, right? That happens most of the time if I walk away from it, but have everything ready to go. I do have some trades up here that I'd like to enter it into if it does hit up into this supply area. But otherwise, I'm targeting this area right here, and then I'll be done for the day and we'll make our money. So anyway, guys, I really appreciate your attendance today. Thank you for coming. Okay, one quick thing. Joe says, what's your price? Oh yeah, so my take profits on these are basically starting at 111,200. That's about where my take profits are, 111,200. And my stop losses are at 111,700. Okay. 111,200 for the take profits, 111,700 for the stop losses. And then I do have some pending orders up here that I'd like to trigger into if I can possibly grab those later today. We'll see if those trigger though. All right, guys. Well, watch out for my email in the or my email, not my email, my Telegram update. I'll let you know how these trades panned out. But again, thank you for coming, guys, and we'll see you guys tomorrow in the next webinar. Thanks for coming.